A very warm welcome to all the members of TBA Jodhpur. We are live now. First of all, we have got to know that few of members are affected by coronavirus. So we wish them a speedy recovery and we wish them get well soon. TBA Jodhpur has come up with a webinar on an important burning issue relating to TCS. For this, I call upon Shri Vishnu Prasad Ji Daga, President of TBA, to give his viewpoint and to introduce Shri BM Biani sir. Over to you, Vishnu ji.
Very good afternoon. Rohit, I am audible?
Yes, sir.
Dear friends, a very good afternoon to all of you. Respected BM Biani ji, learned speaker on today's topic. Respected senior member Surendraji Chopra, Rakeshji Bhandari, and all my executive members and webinar team, Rohit Jain, Ankit Malani, Asutosh Sharma, my dear all professional brothers and sisters. Friends, first of all, I wish all of you for a safe, healthy and happy time in this current situation. Friends, please take care as all we are aware that nowadays COVID-19 have very hard effect and death rate are increases in our city. As rightly Rohit said, many of our members also affect from COVID-19. I, on behalf of entire team of Executive Committee of Tax Bar Association Jodhpur, welcome to our own CA BM Biani ji by virtually garlanding. रोहित ने बताया बियानी जी का इंट्रोडक्शन के लिए. फ्रेंड्स, बियानी जी none of us our one of the most familiar member in the city and no words for his introduction. I welcome all of you also and thank you all for sparing your valuable time. Friends, today BM Biani ji will deliberate upon the topic TCS under section 206C of Income Tax Act 1961. Friends, whenever any important changes comes in direct tax, member demands the name of faculty, very first name you can guess. With proud, I can also speak.
Please unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Friends,
Now
friends,
audible,
I am very much sure that the deliberation of today's learned speaker will very much useful for all of us while doing our professional assignment, which help us to discharge our duty in good manner. Looking to the situation due to COVID-19, this digital platform webinar is best mode to interact and update ourselves. We try our best to organize this webinar on very changes in the law. At last, I request all of you for stay safe and stay updated. Thank you all of you. Thanks. Over to you, Rohit.
Thank you, Vishnu Prasad Daga ji. Before we start, we pray homage to our goddess Saraswati and hope she enlighten us with more knowledge. With these words, I hand over to Mr. BM Biani sir.
Yes, am I audible? Rohit?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes. Mr. President, Tax Bar Association, BP Dagaji, all office bearers of Tax Bar Association, members of Managing Committee, my elder brother Chopra ji, Rakesh ji Bhandari in the web panel, Rohit Jain, organizer, moderator and everything of this particular webinar, Ankit Malani, all senior members, my dear friends. It's always a matter of joy for me to be before you and with you on sharing my professional views on the topics assigned to me. Today, once again, I'm here to interact on a very important topic, that is tax collection at source under Income Tax Act 1961. Friends, at the outset, I would like to submit that you all are perhaps looking me through this webcam. I'm not able to see you. Please don't take otherwise. I have bad hair, बाल ठीक नहीं है मेरे, काफी बढ़ चुके हैं, but this call is the blessing of Corona only. I'm not taking haircut from outside. My wife is doing this job and she perfectly does. I'm thankful to her. But this time what happened, she said that she wants to see me with much longer hair after, say, you can say 5-10 years, and due to this Corona only. So that is why she was not interested in giving me a haircut, and that's why this is how I can be before you. So please don't take otherwise. Now, friends, with these opening remarks, coming to our topic of discussion, we all are aware that TCS is not a very long topic, but this time, because of 3 additions of transactions in TCS through Finance Act 2020 with effect from 1st of October 2020, it has attracted our attention more, and perhaps on you can say across India, so many webinars are being arranged, and so much of material is available in social media, in various discussion forums. So the topic which is selected by Tax Bar Association is also very timely, and it's required. I must thank the organizers who have selected this topic for the benefit of all of us. I have also learned, because of being here a speaker, I am much benefited because it forced me to read the entire law of TCS. And friends, believe me that when I read the provisions of TCS, I thought that many of the things even I am not aware of. So it's not that that is we are going to discuss only 3 new additions which are going to be effective from 1st of October, but also I feel that, and I expressed to the organizers also, that we must have a complete, you can say, discussion on entire TCS topic and not restrict to 3 new items only, because there are some correlations of different items, and we must at least have entire gamut of discussion for the benefit of us. So the organizers accepted my request also, and accordingly I have planned today's webinar. Before I start, I would like to mention one thing which is very relevant, and in fact for the benefit of young members, I would like to submit that this particular slide which I have mentioned, I have learned after, you can say, 25 years of my professional experience. When I was junior, I also was rather reluctant to accept this slide which I have given here. But now, after 25 years of professional career, I feel that the best professional advice is this only. You see, if 2 opinions are possible, and that is this point, make it a point. This point is going to be very relevant in the matter of TCS this chapter and TDS as well. If 2 opinions are possible, I'm saying 2 opinions means 2, you can say, not casual opinions, strong opinions are possible. Adopt that approach which will ensure better compliance of law, so as to avoid any kind of punishment or penal action. So with this opening, that is learning, I now come to my agenda. So I have divided my discussion in, you see, 4 parts. First, I'll take, as I submitted, overview of TCS, means I'll explain you all types of transactions where TCS is applicable. And then I'll go to detailed analysis of some of the provisions, and then some discussion about the procedures of TCS, and then certain relaxations which have been given by government in the matter of TCS due to COVID-19. Now, friends, first part. So TCS is applicable, as you can see, on, I think webcam is not available, Rohit?
Just to increase the size of the template,
Okay.
I've
No problem. So what to do? What to do? Okay, you can do that. Okay,
you may
no problem.
continue, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So friends, see, presently TCS provision is applicable in 10 transactions. 5 you'll find on this slide, and then 1 minute. Then transaction 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these are the 10 transactions which attract TCS, and these are spreading over 4 slides. So it will take some time, but it would be much beneficial for us to understand all these 10 transactions in the beginning itself. So I would request each one of you to kindly pay proper attention, and if you can remember the section number even. Section is one only 206C, but it has subsections. Subsection 1, then subsection 1C, then 1F, then 1G, 1G, then 1H. So if you can kindly remember these sections along with me, then it would be much easier for me to explain and for you to understand the provisions. So let's start. First is subsection 1. So I'll refer only one, not subsection. So first is 1. In 1, 5 transactions are prescribed which require TCS. First is sale of tendu leaves. Second is sale of timber or other forest produce except tendu leaves. So it covers timber and all forest produce, but because tendu leaves is separately mentioned, it is put in exception. Then sale of scrap, then sale of alcoholic liquor for human consumption, and then sale of certain minerals, that is coal, lignite or iron ore. So friends, subsection 1 requires TCS in case of transaction of these 5 situations, you can see. Okay. Then we may also look at collector and collectee. You see, in TCS, as you are aware, there are 2 parties. One is collector, that is the person who is going to collect TCS, and another is collectee, that is the person from whom the collector is going to collect TCS. So who will be collector in this subsection 1? That is collector, they say it should be seller. And even you see transaction, as you can see, is of sale. So seller will collect from buyer. And what's the meaning of seller? We need to understand. And then what's the meaning of buyer? That also we need to understand. Friends, one thing I would like to submit at this stage, that TCS provision will apply only if there is a transaction of this nature which is mentioned on the screen, plus there is a collector falling within this definition, and then collectee falling within this definition. So combination of 3, transaction, collector and collectee, would attract TCS. And if the transaction is not of this nature, or collector does not fall within this definition, or collectee does not fall within this definition, then there is no requirement of TCS. So in the matter of subsection 1, that is these 5 items, 5 situations, who is collector? See, collector means central government, state government, local authority, any corporation, company, firm, cooperative society. So kindly pay attention. These are specific entities which are falling within the meaning of seller. And lastly, they say individual or HUF. But which individual or HUF? Whose total sales gross receipts or turnover from business exceed rupees 1 crore or from profession rupees 50 lakh. These are the limits prescribed in section 44 AB, as we are aware. So individual HUF whose turnover, whose sales, whose gross receipts from business or profession exceed it's 1 crore. Kindly take care. It's not 2 crore. It's not 5 crore, which is now in section 44 AB. It's 1 crore or 50 lakh during the financial year immediately preceding financial year in which the goods are sold. And we all are very much aware of this, so I do not go into much detail, except to mention here this only, that in the definition of seller we have so many entities, but still we don't have AOP or BOI. These are not mentioned. I don't know why government has not mentioned. Must be some reason. Otherwise, we cannot say that it's a slippage only. Might be slippage, might be reason. But then, seller does not cover AOP or BOI. So, what's the effect? In case of AOP, BOI is selling these items, then TCS is not applicable. Similarly, one thing, individual or HUF whose turnover in the preceding year does not exceed, I repeat, does not exceed 1 crore 50 lakh, they are also not required to collect TCS in subsection 1. Fine. Who is collectee? Collectee definition you see, buyer, and buyer is who? He is a person who, this is mentioned here, but the net effect is buyer means a person who purchases what? These goods. But kindly go ahead, but does not include. These are not buyers. These are excluded. Public sector company, central government, state government. Central government, state government is excluded from buyer, but kindly see, central government, state government is included in seller. So from buyer it is excluded. Foreign diplomatic mission is excluded. Club is excluded. Club. And lastly, a buyer, you see, buyer excludes what? Buyer. So a buyer in the retail sale of such goods purchased for personal consumption. I simplify the language. And buyer who is purchasing goods for personal consumption is excluded from buyer. So friends, what is the effect? Effect is these cases, these 5 cases, which I am encircling through this, you can say cursor. So the effect is these persons are excluded from buyer, and therefore TCS provision is not applicable. So here interesting thing is, if the buyer is club, see alcoholic liquor, connect with club, alcoholic liquor, club is purchasing, then TCS is not applicable. And a buyer who is purchasing for personal consumption, then also TCS is not applicable. Say alcoholic liquor, buyer is purchasing for personal consumption, or scrap, buyer is purchasing. Normally it doesn't happen in the case of scrap, but then say timber, buyer is purchasing for personal consumption, TCS provision is not applicable. This is all about 206C subsection 1. So first 5 items. Clear this? We go to next slide. Now see, transaction number 6 is subsection 1 capital C. So I call it 1C. 1C is applicable where the transaction is of this nature. See, leasing or licensing of parking lot or toll plaza. Mines, very important, mines are given on lease or query for use in business. So if leasing or licensing of these, you can say, items which are mentioned here, who is collector? Any person. Any person, maybe even individual here without audit. See, one thing you see here, they say any person. Just a minute. Any person, and who is collecting? Any person, but other than public sector company. So broadly, any person, and TCS provision will apply. I remember one case where what happened, government of Rajasthan allotted mine to a person, and they did not collect TCS. In the beginning it happened when this provision came, say I think 10 11 years back, exactly, I do not recall. So what happened, government of Rajasthan had given a mine on lease to some person, and the authorities forgot to collect TCS. So income tax department issued a notice demanding TCS. So even government is also covered in any person who is collector. Next is this item, that is 1F. 1F is sale of a motor vehicle. This provision came, I think, in the law in the year 2016, 16 or 15. So it's not an old law, and we all are very much aware of this. If there is a sale of motor vehicle, that also requires TCS. And who is collector? Same as in section 206 C1. C1, I go back to the last screen. This is the collector. So if the seller is individual HUF and turnover exceeds this much, 1 crore 50 lakh, then he is again collector and needs to collect TCS. So sale of motor vehicle and collector is same as in section as in subsection 1. And who is buyer? Buyer means a person who obtains in any sale. Buyer means buyer, but does not include, in simple words, does not include public sector company, central government, state government, foreign diplomatic mission, local authority. So this is all about 1F. Then we go to this 1G and clause A, then 1G clause B. So these two items, and next screen if you see 1H, these three are new additions. So transaction number 8, 9, 10 are going to take effect from 1st of October 2020. Now what is this? This is receipt of amount for remittance out of India under liberalized remittance scheme. We all are aware of LRS. So any amount is received for remittance out of India under LRS, and who is receiving this amount and who will collect TCS? So as we are aware, bank will receive. How? Say, suppose I go to bank and I want to make a remittance under LRS to say US. So bank shall be collecting TCS from me. So here who is collector? Here language does not use seller, but language uses every person being an authorized dealer. So authorized dealer, and definition of authorized dealer is a person authorized by RBI to deal in foreign exchange, for example bank. So we can understand bank, in other words, authorized dealer is going to collect TCS. From whom? From buyer. And you see, buyer definition is not separately given, but it is self-defined in the language. It is like this: buyer being a person remitting such amount out of India under LRS, the person who is remitting the amount. So say in my example, bank is collector and I am collectee, that is buyer. So TCS will apply, but here also TCS is not required if buyer is central government, state government, FDM, local authority, or any notified person. Clear? Then we go to next point, which again that is from 1st of October. That is 1GB. That is sale of overseas tour program package. Simply speaking, foreign tour, foreign trip, foreign package, tour package. If you take, then TCS will apply. And here the language is who is collector? Collector language, the person being a seller of this package, overseas tour package. So seller would collect TCS. Who is buyer? Buyer is separately not defined again, but defined in the language itself. And that is buyer being the person who purchases such package. So take another example. I want to take, say, overseas tour program package from say any for example, Cox Couture is providing this which company is providing, I am not recalling exactly right now, but say I take a tour package, so that person who is selling me tour package shall be collecting TCS. And here TCS is not required if the buyer is central government, state government, FDM, local authority, or notified person. Next friends, this is the last transaction, that is transaction number 10, and this is much debated transaction these days in social media. That is 1H. This again from 1st of October. And what is the transaction? Receipt of any amount as consideration for sale of goods. Right now I'll give you overview. I'll have a very detailed discussion of that is this transaction particularly in my subsequent slides. So you just have an overview and relax at this stage. We'll be having a detailed discussion. Okay? So receipt of any amount as consideration for sale of goods. Consideration for sale of goods. Who is seller? That you see, seller means a person whose total sales, gross receipt or turnover from the business carried on by him exceed rupees 10 crore during the preceding financial year. We'll discuss in much detail. Right now, keep in mind that seller means any person, maybe individual, HUF, company, firm, whatever, whose business turnover in preceding financial year exceeded rupees 10 crore. And who is buyer? Buyer means a person who purchases goods. Means buyer means any person who is buyer, but does not include again central government, state government, FDM, local authority, or a person importing goods into India. That is in case of high sea sales, and any person notified by central government. Till now, I think no notification has been given. So now going by this slide, after this slide, let us make a revision of this slide, because as I submitted earlier also, we need to remember these provisions for subsequent discussion. So, and one more thing I would like to mention here is this exclusion from buyer. Kindly see this screen. Exclusion from buyer, that is buyer for personal consumption, is only in subsection 1. See, subsection 1 is having this particular exception. So if a buyer is purchasing timber or alcoholic liquor or these items for personal consumption, then obviously there is no TCS. But this exception, this exclusion from buyer, you will not find in this 1C here, or 1F even here, or 1G here. 1G, personal consumption exclusion is not there, and 1H also, this exclusion you will not find. Particularly, you can refer this 1F motor vehicle, exclusion of buyer for personal consumption or personal use is not mentioned here. Therefore, if a person is purchasing motor vehicle, even for personal use, for domestic use, for use by his family members, and that value which you are aware, but subsequently I'll be taking exceeds 10 lakh, then TCS will apply. So friends, this way, once again, subsection 1 covers 5 situations, 1C covers leasing licensing, 1F covers motor vehicle, 1GA covers remittance under LRS, 1GB covers overseas package, and 1H covers sale of goods. Now, this equation you have to remember. Transaction, whether TCS is applicable or not, in order to decide that, you have to see transaction is of this nature or not, collector is falling within the definition of collector or not, collect is falling within the definition of collector or not. If this equation is satisfied, then only TCS provision will apply. Now friends, actually I wanted to merge this slide which I am giving here now. These two slides, again, these two slides are with reference to, as you can see, that is those very sections, those very 10 transactions. I wanted to include these columns also in the previous slides, but there was a limitation in PPT, and it was not possible for me to include. So therefore, I have given here. So here, what I am going to tell you is, see, in earlier slides with reference to these transactions, we have seen collector, collectee, and now threshold limit, rate of TCS, when to collect, and two more points: declaration for no TCS, declaration for no TCS, and certificate for lower TCS. So these points I have summarized here. So I'll quickly finish these points and then we proceed further. So in case of sale of tendu leaves, threshold limit is nil. So therefore, even if there is a sale of 1 rupee, you can say TCS is applicable, and TCS rate is 5%. When to collect? Earlier, I'll come to this point later. What I mean to say by earlier. Then this declaration for no TCS. So see, that is yes, it is possible here. Declaration is possible. This point also I'll be taking subsequently, and certificate for lower TCS is also possible. Clear? So yes means these are allowed. Then in sale of timber, threshold is nil. TCS rate is 2.50%. When to collect? Earlier. Declaration yes. Certificate for lower TCS yes. Sale of scrap, threshold is nil. Threshold is nil and rate is 1%. And when to collect? Earlier. Declaration for no TCS yes allowed. Declaration for lower TCS, sorry, certificate for lower TCS you can obtain from department, that is also allowed. Then alcoholic liquor for human consumption, threshold limit is nil, rate is 1%. When to collect? Earlier. Declaration for no TCS yes allowed. Certificate for lower TCS again allowed. Then coal, lignite or iron ore, these minerals, threshold is nil, but rate is 1%. Then when to collect? Earlier. Declaration for no TCS yes allowed, and certificate for lower TCS allowed. This declaration certificate aspect will again be taking in much detail in subsequent slides. Then coming to this 1C transaction of leasing, threshold is nil, rate is 2%. When to collect? Earlier. Declaration for no TCS not allowed. Kindly see here, declaration is not allowed, and certificate for lower TCS is allowed. Then coming to F1F, sale of motor vehicle. here threshold is value of vehicle is up to 10 lakh. So if the value of vehicle is up to 10 lakh, then there is no TCS. But once the value exceeds 10 lakh, it's conditional if the value. So once the value is say 11 lakh, then TCS shall be on entire 11 lakh. It will not be on excess amount, that is 1 lakh. Then 1% TCS rate. But you see here, when to collect TCS, here they have said at the time of receipt of consideration, that is there will be TCS. It's not earlier here. In previous transactions it was earlier, but here it is receipt. As far as declaration is concerned, not allowed. Certificate also not allowed. Now see, declaration certificates are not allowed here. Then this new provision 1GA, that is remittance under LRS. Here the threshold limit fixed by government is rupees 7 lakh in a financial year. But you see, it is up to 7 lakh. So the effect of the language is that is up to 7 lakh. A person is remitting, then there is no TCS. And suppose person is remitting say 8 lakh, which exceeds 7 lakh, then there would be TCS. Question is, TCS would be on excess amount only or entire 8 lakh. So here the effect of language is TCS shall be on excess amount only, that is 1 lakh only in my example. It will not be on entire amount. Once again, please, in case of motor vehicle, it is on entire amount once it exceeds the limit of 10 lakh, but here it is on excess. Then what is TCS rate? It is 5% generally. In one case, it is 0.50%, which is not of much use for you right now. So then when to collect TCS earlier, then declaration for TCS. Just a minute. Some with laptop. Yes. Then declaration not allowed, certificate also not allowed. Now this provision 1GB, that is overseas tour package, here threshold is nil, TCS rate is 5%. When to collect earlier, and declaration for no TCS, that is not allowed. Then certificate for lower TCS also not allowed. Now 1H, that is sale of goods. Here that is threshold is given, that is up to 50 lakh. And how this 50 lakh would be working, we'll discuss in subsequent slide in much detail. And TCS rate is 0.1. In the law it is mentioned 0.1%, means 0.10%. It's not 0.01%, it is 0.10%. And when to collect? At the time of receipt. Then declaration for no TCS no, and certificate also no. So from this slide we can that is remember that normally threshold in TCS matters is nil. Even in scrap also, if our client is that is selling scrap, threshold is nil. Threshold is here only in motor vehicle, here this remittance, and here this sale of goods. Another interesting thing is, normally TCS is at earlier stage. Earlier is mentioned in all, you can say, sales, except in two cases, that is motor vehicle and sale of goods, where TCS is required at the time of receipt of consideration. Clear? Now friends, having understood this, come to earlier. As far as earlier is concerned, as I submitted here, earlier is mentioned in that is 8 transactions, not in 2 transactions. So in those 8 transactions, what is meaning of earlier? When to collect TCS? So the law is at the time of debit to the account of collectee. The collector shall be collecting TCS at the time of debit or at the time of receipt, whichever is earlier. Fine, it is so. Then one more point, surcharge plus cess shall be included in this or not. These rates mentioned here are basic rates of TCS. So normally surcharge is not to be included, cess is also not to be included. TCS has to be according to basic rate. But if the collectee is a foreign company or non-resident, non-corporate, normally it's not so relevant at the level they are practicing in Jodhpur. But just to make a complete submission, I have mentioned surcharge is applicable, you have to include, and cess also at the rate of 4% is to be included. Now friends, if the collectee does not submit PAN number or Aadhaar number to the collector, then the collector shall be collecting TCS at a higher rate. You all are aware. So higher rate, what would be higher rate? In this new provision, 1H is for sale of goods, new provision on this rate shall be 1%. So if you see our original slide, TCS rate was 0.10%. But in absence of PAN number, it would be 1%. And as far as other TCS are concerned, in other TCS it would be double of TCS rate, normal rate, or 5%, whichever is higher. Now friends, coming to declaration for no TCS. So once again, going back to the slide, I have mentioned here declaration for no TCS. So that point now I am touching. And declaration is allowed here wherever I have mentioned yes, and in no cases declaration is not allowed. What is that declaration? This declaration is something different. It says no TCS shall be made under, you see, subsection 1 only. Subsection means first 5 items only. If the buyer is resident in India, for example, scrap. So buyer is resident in India and buyer gives a declaration in form number 27C to the effect that goods shall be utilized for the purpose of manufacturing or processing or producing any article or thing or generation of power and not for trading. So simple thing, if the buyer is purchasing, connecting with this slide, if the buyer is purchasing these items, where their scrap is also mentioned, timber is also mentioned, for the purpose of utilization for manufacturing and not for trading, then buyer can give a declaration to the seller, and then seller shall not be collecting TCS. Then friends, coming to certificate for lower TCS, we all are aware that the collectee can file an application to income tax department in a particular form and get a certificate for lower TCS rate. Now this certificate system is only in subsection 1 or 1C it is allowed. Again, connecting back to the previous slide, it is allowed only in, as you can see, certificate column also yes means in 1 it is allowed, and 1C also certificate is allowed. Kindly see, in the case of sale of motor vehicles, certificate is not allowed. In the case of new provision of sale of goods, certificate is not allowed. Overseas package, certificate is not allowed. Wherever no is mentioned, certificate is not allowed. One more thing I would like to submit is, here certificate is not possible for no TCS. The language is very clear. Certificate is for lower rate only. So if the collective files application to AO, AO shall reduce the rate of TCS, but it's not possible that AO can give a certificate for no TCS at all. So this way we have understood outline of TCS provisions. Now quickly I'll be moving to detailed analysis of some of the provisions. I've selected certain provisions which are of use for us, and I would like to highlight and discuss those provisions in much detail. Scrap TCS. In the case of TCS on scrap, we need to understand meaning of scrap. What is scrap? You see, scrap means, see this definition please. Scrap means waste and scrap from, I have reproduced the language as prescribed in income tax. So it is waste and scrap from the manufacture or mechanical working of materials which is definitely not usable as such because of breakage, cutting up, wear and other reasons. So the definition of scrap, you see, first element is it has to be waste and scrap. Second element, it has to be from the manufacture or mechanical working of materials. It should arise, although they have not used here the word waste and scrap arising from, but I add from my side. From the manufacturer means that is, it should arise from manufacture or mechanical working of materials, which is definite. And third property is it should not be usable as such. Scrap, the very nature of scrap should be which is mentioned here also, it should not be usable as such because of breakage, cutting of wear and other reasons. Now this provision is very much relevant to we people in Jodhpur, even our clients who are having factories, and in factories they are generating some kind of, you can say in manufacturing process, some kind of waste or scrap that arises definitely from manufacture or mechanical working, and that scrap they are selling which cannot be used as such by the buyer because of breakage, cutting up, and therefore TCS is attracted. And the worst part of this is that as I mentioned in previous slide, sorry, I am taking reference of previous slide for a better reference purpose. Threshold limit is nil, so that way TCS would apply even from sale of 1 rupee of scrap. So the care has to be taken. Now here I mentioned something, scrap can be of metal, wood, paper, rubber. In many industries, scrap is found. It's not simply metal. It can be scrap of any item. Then my view is substandard quality. Say our client is producing finished goods, and finished goods is of say substandard quality or say damaged finished goods. That is not a scrap. Therefore, TCS provision will not apply. Please do not understand scrap word as per common sense. We need to understand scrap word as defined in the law. So, substandard quality or damaged finished goods, even if you are selling, practically you may call it scrap. But as far as income tax is concerned, it's not scrap, and therefore TCS is not applicable. Then byproduct or joint product is also not a scrap. TCS provision will not apply. Then packing material such as drums, boxes in factory. Say clients are purchasing raw material. Raw material that is after when they use raw material, drums and empty drums and boxes they are selling. So that they call it scrap or we call it scrap, but then it's not that is fitting in the definition of scrap. Therefore, TCS provision is not applicable. And one more thing, old or unusable plant, machinery, furniture also is not a scrap. So these items which I have mentioned here, some of these items, these are not scrap. Therefore, TCS provision is not applicable. But one interesting and typical problem the business community has faced. The question is whether TCS would apply to trader of scrap or not. So for that, now see this. Trading of scrap attracts section requirement of TCS or not. If you see the language, it says scrap means waste and scrap from the manufacture or mechanical working. So it should arise from the manufacture mechanical working. Now say I have a client and who is doing trading of scrap. Now in case of trading, TCS would apply or not. There is a dispute, a serious dispute is there. In this Naveen, this Fluorine International Limited case, the court held this Ahmedabad bench of tribunal held that section 206 shall apply to only those sellers who are engaged in the business of manufacture or mechanical working of materials. So say as I submitted to you, I have two clients. One who is having a factory, and in factory in manufacturing process scrap is generated and he is selling, definitely TCS provisions will apply. Another client who is engaged in trading business and he is just doing trading of scrap, their TCS provision will apply or not. Ahmedabad tribunal has held that TCS provision will not apply because according to definition TCS this scrap should arise from manufacture. But the problem here is Rajkot bench of ITAT in Bharti Auto case has given a contrary view. They say that TCS provision will apply. Why they say? They say that this particular person is not doing the person who is doing trading of scrap is not doing manufacturing process, and therefore TCS provision will apply. According to them, manufacture must be done by the assessee who is selling scrap, not by someone else. So there is a gross controversy as far as trading of scrap is concerned, whether TCS provision shall apply or not, and one has to take little care as far as this TCS is concerned. Next, friends, coming to motor vehicles. In the case of motor vehicle, I am referring to one circular, that is this circular number 22. In this circular, two queries are very relevant to us. Two queries I have selected. Query number 2, clarified by CBDT, is whether TCS is applicable only to luxury cars. See, the TCS is on motor vehicle. So one point was raised before CBDT that it would apply only to luxury cars or what. So CBDT has clarified TCS is applicable to all motor vehicles. So what inference I get from this clarification or even from reading the law, it doesn't say, see, first of all, motor car, it says motor vehicle. So, and that is rightly clarified by CBDT also that TCS will apply on all motor vehicles like car, even truck, sale of truck, sale of bike also. Of course, it should cross the threshold limit of 10 lakh. Then only TCS will apply, that we agree. But as far as applicability is concerned, it applies not only to luxury car, but all cars, all trucks, bikes, any kind of motor vehicle is sold, TCS provision will apply. Then another question for I have taken here is it is as given by CBDT. This is very important. Kindly read this carefully, and this is going to help us in taking interpretation for a new provision which we are waiting for to discuss, that is sale of goods. There also this particular question shall help us a lot, and we need to understand this carefully. Kindly see whether TCS is applicable on each sale of motor vehicle or on aggregate value of sale during the year. The question is on sale of each vehicle or aggregate value. Answer is tax is to be collected at source at the rate of 1% on sale consideration of a motor vehicle exceeding 10 lakh rupees. Fine. It's applicable to each sale and not to aggregate value of sale made during the year. This again is fine. So to that extent, there is nothing like new. It's in the law. But then CBDT has given an explanation, the illustration also in the circular. And that illustration, I would like to have your particular attention to this particular illustration. What they say, motor vehicle worth 20 lakh is sold. Kindly see this, worth 20 lakh is sold and for which payments are made in installments. Before going further, I just would like to remind you that in case of motor vehicle, TCS is on receipt of consideration, not on earlier stage. So it is on receipt of consideration. Now here they say motor vehicle worth 20 lakh is sold and for which payments are made in installments. One at the time of booking, kindly see the language, one at the time of booking and other at the time of delivery. So there is, what I can understand is there is a time gap between booking and actual delivery of motor vehicle. And then CBDT further says at the time of booking 5 lakh rupees are paid and 15 lakh rupees are paid at the time of delivery. So say booking is made today and delivery is given say after 2 months. And today the seller is getting 5 lakh from buyer and after 2 months at the time of delivery the seller is getting 15 lakh. Now what they have clarified is tax at the rate of 1% on 5 lakh shall be at the tax collection TCS shall be at the time of booking. On 5 lakh TCS shall be, because you have received this amount, so on this amount you pay TCS, and at the rate of 1% on remaining 50 lakh at the time of delivery shall be collected. Friends, from this illustration I get one important inference which would be equally applicable to the new provision of sale of goods. From this I get an inference that TCS is applicable on advance receipt against sale. You have received advance, how much you have received? 5 lakh. On 5 lakh TCS is applicable. So this example particularly explains the view of government. They say on advance receipt against sale also you have to pay TCS. Now friends, in motor vehicle case, this is one point which I have taken from my side. It's not clarified anywhere. If motor vehicle is held as fixed asset, say our client is having a motor vehicle which is a fixed asset for client, not stock in trade, whether TCS is applicable or not, assuming that the value exceeds 10 lakh. Clear? So according to me, even in this case also TCS is applicable. Please be careful of this particular point. My personal view is TCS is applicable. TCS is nothing to do with that is vehicle held as stock in trade or held as fixed asset. Now friends, this is the provision which actually we are waiting for. That is new provision 1H. This language we have to understand very carefully because many persons are expressing that is with due respect I submit their opinions in different ways. So in fact, when I studied this language, I had to study 10 times. Then only I could understand what is the exact message being given by the language. So please see this language. What is this? From 1st of October, there is a new TCS on sale of goods, and it is what every person. I read the language word by word, and please go with me. Every person being a seller who receives any amount. It says any amount is consideration for sale of any goods sale of the value or aggregate of such value exceeding 50 lakh rupees. So sale value or aggregate exceeding 50, language is in any previous year. Kindly see this previous year is connected with what? Not connected with the receives this amount. This is connected with sale of goods of the value or aggregate of such value exceeding 50 lakh. So it is connected with this. Now proceed further. Other than the goods being exported out of India or goods covered in subsection 1, or 1 means 5 items, scrap, tandoori's, all those, because for those items there is separate provision. 1F we have seen motor vehicle, and 1G is, that is LRS, and that is overseas tour program. Other than those, and other than goods being exported out of India, sale at the time of receipt of such amount, and you see where seller who receives any amount as consideration, and this is linked here, receipt of such amount, collect from the buyer a sum equal to 0.1% of the sale consideration. Now language is not finishing again here, not ending here, sale consideration. It says sale consideration exceeding 50 lakh rupees as income tax. So we need to understand this language very carefully and study this language repeatedly. One thing you will find here, 50 lakh is coming. 50 lakh is used at two places. 50 lakh here, sale value exceeding 50 lakh, and 50 lakh is here also, collect from buyer a sum equal to how much TCS? 0.1% of sale consideration exceeding 50 lakh rupees. So only on excess sale consideration, excess receipt of sale consideration, we need to collect TCS. Fine, this is the language. And then what is meaning of seller? Let us see. Seller means a person whose total sales, gross receipt or turnover from the business carried on by him exceed 10 crore rupees. Exceed 10 crore rupees during the financial year immediately preceding the financial year in which the sale of goods is carried out. So this limit of 10 crore is to be checked in the preceding financial year. Preceding what? In which the sale of goods is carried out. So transaction of sale is carried out, say in the year 2000, say 2021. So we need to check turnover in the financial year 1920. So friends, this language is now to be interpreted very carefully. I'll have several examples in subsequent slides, and we need to understand. Once again, I say TCS is one thing, or the fine points we can get from here is at the time of receiving consideration, first of all, not at the time of sale, but sale value or aggregate sale value during the year should exceed 50 lakh in the previous year, and TCS is on excess collection. Excess, I mean to say exceeding 50 lakh. And the definition of seller is using third limit, that is 10 crore. So friends, there at three places they have prescribed limits. Monetary limits are here 1, 50, then here that is again 50 lakh rupees, and in the definition of that is seller, there is 10 crore rupees limit. Now, how to remember this provision? That's a big question. So what I did, I made, you can say, student like that is interpretation, so that we can easily remember this. See, I have mentioned three things. Three variables are there: T, S, C. It's very easy for you to remember. We are right now discussing this topic, TCS, tax collection at source. So it's some change, amended only here, but then the components are three, that is T, S, and C. So T refers to turnover, sale refers to sales, C refers to consideration. Clear? So turnover. First thing you have to see is turnover in the preceding year in which sale is carried out exceed rupees 10 crore. If this condition is satisfied, then only you go ahead, not otherwise. Clear? Second thing you need to see, sale. Here aggregate sale of goods to a buyer means a particular buyer in a previous year, that is, I say current year. Why I mentioned current year? Because this turnover variable is with reference to preceding year, and sale is with reference to the current year, exceed 50 lakh. Once these two variables are satisfied, meaning thereby turnover in preceding year exceeded 10 crore, sale to a buyer during current year exceeded 50 lakh, then if T plus S satisfied, then the interpretation of language goes TCS is applicable on receipt of, not on sale, any amount of sale consideration, but again exceeding 50 lakh. This exceeding 50 lakh I'm getting from where? On this exceeding 50 lakh I'm getting from this end language only, sale consideration exceeding 50 lakh. 0.1% of sale consideration exceeding 50 lakh. So here these are the three variables which you pick, which you remember, T, S, C. One more thing, friends, I would like to submit. Once T plus S is satisfied, then you apply TCS. On receipt, here I have made a comment. This may be received in the same year or even subsequent year. You receive in same year, then TCS is applicable. You receive in subsequent year, then also TCS will apply. So this way you remember this. Now I proceed to take some of the examples. See this slide. Buyer A, B, C, D. These are different buyers. And one more thing, TCS provision you need to apply buyer wise. Do not aggregate all buyers. So buyer A, please see, turnover during 1927 crore, 1920, and aggregate sale of goods during 2021, that is the year which is going on right now and with which we are concerned. Here I have made two columns up to 30th September, that is before 110, and 110 to 31st March, and total. Clear? This is sale of goods. So three variables: turnover, sale made to buyer, and then collection during 2021. How much you collected during this year, and then amount liable for TCS. And then I have given my the reason of my viewpoint also. So start with this. Buyer is A. Suppose your turnover, these are all independent cases. Your turnover, that is turnover of seller during 1920 was 7 crore. In that case, and sale made to buyer A is say this much, collection during 2021, this much sale is made, 20 and 60, total sale is 80. Out of 80, 80 is collection. What is going to happen? According to me, no TCS. Why no TCS? Answer is very simple. Turnover in preceding financial year is 7 crore, not exceeding 10 crore. Therefore, the seller is going out of definition of seller. Next, another situation is buyer B, and say turnover is 12 crore. Turnover of seller is 12 crore. In financial year 1920, sale made up to 30th September is 60 lakh. During this sale made is 20 lakh. So total sale made to this particular buyer, that is B, is 80 lakh. Fine. Now, how to calculate applicability of TCS? In this case, my view is, see, one more thing, 80 lakh, and collection during 2021 is also 80 lakh. Correct? Sale 80 lakh, collection also. In this slide, I have taken collection in the same year itself, that is 2021, 80 lakh. Now, question is how much amount is liable for TCS? So according to me, amount, first of all, we need to see this limit exceeds 10 or not. Yes, it exceeds, so TCS is applicable. Second, we need to see sale is exceeding 50 or not. Yes, sale is also exceeding. Second variable is satisfied. Now, TCS will apply on, point is this 80, entire 80, because 80 has been collected also, entire 80, or TCS will apply on 20 because TCS is applicable from 1st October. What is going to happen? So you see, according to me, TCS will apply on 20 lakh. Why 20 lakh? Because TCS from 1st of October, TCS is not, that is on the sale made up to 30th September. Clear? Third situation, friends, to take. Buyer C, turnover 12 crore, and aggregate sale up to this 20. Afterwards 60. Total 80. Collection during this 80. So in this case, what happened? On how much amount you are going to collect TCS? You see, here, of course, after 1st of October, collection is 60 lakh. So one impression can be TCS should be on 60 lakh. Like say in last case, that is 20 lakh. So TCS was on 20 lakh. So one inference can be, or one thinking could be that it should be on 60 lakh, but it would not be on 60 lakh. Why I am saying so? Because the 50 lakh, that is exemption is available, and only on extra amount over and above 50 lakh collection, you need to collect TCS. So therefore, what will happen here? Do not say that on 60 lakh TCS is to be collected. It would be what? 80 minus 50 lakh. 80 is collection. This much is collection. 80 minus 50. So on 30 lakh, although once again, from 1st October, the collection is 60, but TCS will be on 30 lakh. Reason is TCS on excess of 50 lakh. Next, friends. D. In D case, I have taken a situation where that is a sale is say 80 lakh. Collection is 80 lakh. It is after 1st of October, 80 lakh. There, what is going to happen? Out of 80, again you deduct 50, and only on balance 30, you need to collect TCS, that is in excess of 50 lakh. So this slide will give you some insight of this provision. Now, this is a slide where what I have done, I have made collection in the same year, Now I take a different case. In next slide, collection is not fully made in the same year. Collection is say deferred to the next year, or partly collected in current year, same year, or partly collected in next year. So for that, I will continue with the example of say Mr. D. Now once again, Mr. D. In Mr. D case, what happened here? Once again, you see 80 lakh sale is made during this period post 110, and out of 80, 80 is collected in the same year. Therefore, TCS was on 30 lakh. But now I say these are the different cases. Say sale to D, and amount liable for TCS we have worked out in last slide. It is 30 lakh only. But the collection is how this 30 lakh is collected during 2021 or 21-22, and amount liable for TCS. So please understand. Say 30 lakh is collected during 2021, then you need to collect TCS. 30 lakh in another situation, 30 lakh is collected this way, 18 lakh and 12 lakh spread over 2 years. You need to collect TCS on 18 lakh year in this year 2021, and on balance 12 lakh, that is in the year 21-22. Then third scene you take, that is 30 lakh, and say no collection in 2021, collection only in 21-22. You need to collect TCS on 30 lakh in 21-22. The last scene you take, that is 30 lakh, and there is no collection at all. Say buyer is not paying you. If buyer is not paying, then there is no TCS. So I think with this data, we'll be able to get much clarity of that is this 1H provision. I have expressed my view. If anybody is having a different view, definitely I would welcome to be enlightened. Then there is one problem, serious problem of that is transition. These situations can happen. Like say, because TCS provision is applicable from 110, say date of sale is supposed before 110, date of collection is before 110. Both things happened before 110. Then no TCS. Then both things happened after 110, sale and collection. Yes, TCS. Now third situation, please concentrate. Sale is made during 1/4/20 to 30th September 20. That is before 110. Collection is after 110. So in respect of date sale, TCS is applicable or not, one view being expressed by persons is that yes, TCS is applicable because you are collecting after 110. But I made a detailed study of the language. It seems to me that TCS shall not apply because sale was effected prior to 110. Please see this, sale was effected prior to 110. I have mentioned contrary view is possible. My personal view is TCS is not applicable. A person may collect, may pay as a matter of abundant portion is a different thing, but technically not applicable. Why I am saying it is not applicable? Because according to me, sale is made before applicability of section. If you see the language of section, this language is applicable from 110, and language clearly postulates that there is a sale of goods exceeding this 50 lakh in the pre-sale must be done, sale must be effected after 110, and collection also must be after 110, then only TCS is applicable. So with that, my view is this only, TCS will not apply. Similar to 3 situation, I have taken 4 also. Slight difference is there, made before 1/4. See here I say 1/4/20 to 30th September, here I say 1/4/20 before that. So in both cases you will find it is sale is made before 110. But say why I have separated this 4th point from 3rd point, there is one reason. So let us see, made before 1/4/20, for example 19/20, 18/19, 17, and collection is after 110. So once again I say should not apply because sale was effect. This is my view here, and same view prevails here also, 3 or 4. But I wanted to make a different mention, that is why I separated 4 from 3. In 3, contrary view is possible. Clear? In 4 also contrary view is possible, but if you apply contrary view, that is if you say TCS is applicable for a while, then you need to check 10 crore limit, 50 lakh limit also. This would be a big challenge, because say in financial year 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20, say somebody made a sale. So and today he is collecting say after 110, and you say that TCS is applicable. So in that case, you need to check 10 crore limit, whether it was satisfied or not. 50 lakh limit at the time of sale, it was that is satisfied or not. And if those conditions were satisfied, then only TCS will apply. So this would put you in a serious problem even. This situation becomes more complicated than situation number 3. Then friends, 5 is say sale is made on or after 110, but collection was made before 110. That is advance receipt. Advance receipt, but before 110. Here also I say TCS should not apply because the event of collection was prior to 110. So with this, I have taken all these situations and I have expressed my view. Now friends, in relation to 1H, we have several other issues. What is meaning of goods? Now, goods is not defined in income tax, defined particularly in 2 laws, Sale of Goods Act and CGST Act. I personally believe definition of CGST Act is not to be used because that is again a tax law for its own purpose. We need to go by Sale of Goods Act only. In Sale of Goods Act, goods is defined in this manner. Please see, goods means every kind of movable property, only movable property, not immovable. So goods means if movable property, there they say other than actionable claims and money, and includes, please go ahead, and includes stocks and shares. So shares are included in goods, stocks are included in goods, growing crop, grass and things attached to or forming part of the land which are agreed to be. So let us ignore last part, but main thing I would like to emphasize here is goods means every kind of movable property. Of course, actionable claims are not that is goods, but includes shares and stocks. Now, with this, that is definition, because there is no definition in Income Tax Act, the best definition available according to me, sale of goods only. I that is recognize this definition and apply this. Based on this definition, these are the questions. Whether sale of immovable property would attract TCS? My reply is no. There are 2 reasons: not goods, not falling in goods. The second reason is also there: buyer will deduct TDS under 194 IE. And in a later slide, I would explain to you that there is an exemption given in section this 206C1H. If buyer is deducting TDS, then TCS will not apply. So that would also help. Even otherwise, this is not good, therefore not TCS. Then electricity sale, yes, I said TCS because electricity is also goods. So that means electricity companies which are billing above 50 lakh to their consumers, perhaps they are likely to collect TCS. Yes, TCS would apply according to me. Actionable claims, no, because they are not goods. Shares, the persons who are practicing in GST, they would say actionable claims are included in that is goods in GST Act. That's a different thing. As I said earlier, I have preferred that is Sale of Goods Act only, then GST Act. Then share security is very interesting point. Share securities are goods. Since they are goods, TCS will apply. So this is going to cause a serious problem. That is, I think they need to make compliance wherever it is required. Of course, that is 50 lakh limit, 10 crore, those have to be satisfied. Then friends, jewelry and bullion sale, yes, TCS will apply. My this cursor is not working. Please bear with me. Sometimes it is working, sometimes not working. Jewelry, bullion, TCS is applicable because again goods. Then friends, one interesting point: movable property held as like plant, machinery, furniture. Suppose our client is selling say plant, machinery, furniture, which is not held as stock in trade. Now TCS will apply or not? According to me, TCS will apply because the goods, many a time we are feeling that goods means stock in trade only, but no. Sorry to say, here goods does not mean goods only held as stock in trade. Even if our client is selling fixed asset like plant for a value exceeding 50 lakh, then we need to collect TCS. Please be aware of this provision. This is my view. Pure service contract, no TCS. In case of service contract, TCS is not applicable because TCS is only on sale of goods. Then goods plus service and service separate prices are billed. Say there is a contract where goods is involved, service is involved, and prices are separately agreed upon and that way invoiced also. Then you need to collect TCS on goods, not on service. Then good service for a single price. Suppose single price, there is a composite contract, goods is involved, service is involved. I would suggest that TCS should be on full value. We should not invite any problem. We should not separate that is service portion according to our desire. In that case, we need to collect TCS on full value. Then in relation to sale of goods, some different queries now. Sale through agent who will collect. Say suppose I am selling goods through agent. So there are three parties. My goods being sold by agent and there is a buyer. Question is who will collect TCS? The agent will collect or the principal will collect. Here, though CBDT should clarify this issue, but till any clarification comes, my submission is principal should collect and deposit. Means the owner of good, not the agent. Why I'm saying this? Because if somebody says that agent should collect and pay, then there would be a great problem in applying limit of 10 crore, limit of 50 lakh. So it becomes a big challenge even otherwise. So my suggestion is TCS should reach to the pocket of government and it's better that the principal makes compliance. Then next question, whether applicable on export out of India, there is a specific exclusion in the language itself, therefore no TCS. Then friends, there is one general query which is coming. What documentation would you suggest for TCS? For TCS on sale of goods, what document? My personal view is TCS can be collected through, that is receipt. Either seller can issue a receipt because it is not on sale of goods. It is at the time of collection of that is sale consideration. So one thing can be done is the seller issues receipt or seller can issue debit note. Commercial debit note, I would say, please do not confuse with the statutory debit note under GST law. That's a different thing. A commercial debit note seller can issue via receipt or debit note seller can collect TCS. Of course, there is one query going on. Can TCS be collected through invoice? Say, although government says TCS is applicable at the time of receipt of consideration, not on billing basis, but the point is, if a person wants to make a better compliance of law or for his comfort, that is, he says that I would collect TCS in invoice itself. So whether there can be any objection from department or not, you see, my submission is even if somebody is mentioning TCS in invoice, though I would not suggest. My preliminary suggestion is he should go by receipt or debit note mode only. Do not include in invoice. But if somebody wants to include in invoice, then also he can pay TCS not on invoice basis. He can pay TCS on collection basis. That is receipt from buyer. But here also, if somebody says I will pay TCS on invoice basis, then department won't have any objection because you are making better compliance of law. But you will face some problems like TCS on advance receipt. You have to take care. It's possible that you received advance and you missed to pay tax on TCS at the time of receiving advance because you are under the impression that you will be paying TCS only at the time of making invoice. So this can be a problem area. Sometimes pay from your own pocket. Working capital is blocked. Buyer has not paid you consideration. You have raised invoice and you are paying TCS to government. So your working capital is blocked. Buyer may resist also your action. Or one more thing, non-receipt or lesser receipt due to sales return, bad debt, discount, credit note. Ultimately, you do not receive full money from buyer and you have paid TCS to government on full amount of invoice, something which goes from your pocket. You may not be able to collect ultimately from buyer. So these problems can arise. I would submit that better the clients go by receipt mode or debit note mode only. Then the question is how to make effective compliance of provision. I think keep a complete track of buyer. You have to keep a track of buyer, invoice and collection, three things. So some documentation, some kind of register, some kind of Excel sheet has to be maintained by the assessee. Then only you can make a better compliance of the law. Then friends, question is how to calculate 10 crore limit, that is turnover of preceding year. Here my view is this 10 crore is total turnover. Please take care. This would include sale of goods, service, export sale also. Please do not get confused. That is, as far as applicability of TCS is concerned, that is on sale of goods only. But the turnover of preceding year, there they say in order to fall within the definition of seller, we have to see turnover. And the turnover would include, according to me, sale of goods, service, export sale, everything. And I submit considerations as we apply in section 44AB. While finding the meaning of sale, gross receipt, turnover, we should apply those considerations here also. Then friends, a query is there whether turnover of preceding year, that is exceeding 10 crore, should be inclusive of GST or exclusive of GST. I am very clear on the point. I always suggest, I have spoken in past also, section 145A of Income Tax Act now is there, and all sale prices are to be taken on inclusive of GST according to section 145. Now somebody may say 145A is for computation of taxable income, that's a different thing. But intention of department is very clear, you take inclusive of GST here. And even I would say that is in this slide I have mentioned, it is going, I think that is below, which is not appearing before you, not visible. Turnover, yes, this is a turnover and sales. See, I suggested you three variables, T, S and C. I would say turnover should be inclusive of GST. Sales of 50 lakh during should be inclusive of GST. And collection on which you would be collecting TCS should also be inclusive of GST. This point I'll be taking little later also. So this is my personal view. Contrary view is possible as far as this point is concerned. Then which sale would be included in computing 50 lakh? See, that was discussion of that is 10 crore turnover. Now 50 lakh. Some points. Only sale of goods shall be taken. Fine. We all are aware. TCS is applicable from 110. Limit of 50 lakh sale run from 110 or 140. Limit of 50 lakh for sale would run from 14. That is not from 110. Please be aware. Then 50 lakh is buyer wise or aggregate for all buyers. It's very clear. It's buyer wise, not aggregate for all buyers. Then a situation can arise where the seller is having multi units or multi factories or multi proprietorship concerns. Say Mr. A is having two proprietorship concerns and he is selling to the same buyer but different goods and from different units, different factories, different proprietorship concerns. Now question is whether limit of 50 lakhs shall apply unit wise, factory wise or concern wise. See, same buyer is purchasing from two proprietorship concerns or units. My advice is separate limit should not apply. Not applies separate limit. However, that is if you suppose the client has not collected TCS under the impression that there are two separate proprietorship concerns, then you can do one thing, benefit of seller definition can be taken and there is a chance of success. But at advisory stage, I would say separate limit is not to operate. We have to aggregate for the same buyer, that is in relation to sale made from different units or different factories or different proprietorship concerns. Then friends, another issue is seller buyer have mutual purchase sale transaction. Say I am seller selling to say some buyer and that buyer is selling to me. Say some goods I am selling and purchasing from the very same person. So in that case, TCS shall apply after netting or before netting. Here my view is very clear. It shall apply before netting. Each party will take care of section. When I make sale to that person, I would review my position, apply TCS problem. When he is selling to me, he would check his position and apply TCS. There is no question of netting. Then one more question has come somewhere. Sale of 80 lakh, but old items of 35 lakh exchange. So net receipt is 45 lakh. Say I sell to a person for 80 lakh and he pays me how 35 lakh worth items. He is having old items which he is giving to me and 45 lakh is the balance amount which he is paying to me through cash or check. TCS will apply or not? TCS will apply. And here I would say I have that is slip to mention here TCS will apply on entire 40 lakh, not on 45 lakh. Then question is whether this provision will apply to a new business or not. This query is a query which has come somewhere, but then I think querist has not paid attention. In the case of new business, this provision will not apply. Why no? Because in the preceding year there is no turnover and there is a requirement of turnover exceeding 10 crore. So that will not applicable. It's simple query. Then another query which is coming is TCS applicable on transportation delivery charges or not. Say in the invoice of sale of goods or from the buyer, that is you are selling goods but you are collecting transportation delivery charges also. So TCS is applicable or not? Legally speaking, not required. Not required. Why? Because this particular amount which you are charging is not for sale of goods. It is for sale of service. So legally not required. Practically, it may be better to collect TCS even on this amount because one thing, amount is negligible. Second thing, if you do not want to collect TCS on this, you want to collect only on goods portion, then you have to make that is difficult calculations like keeping track of collection. You receive amount from buyer, you have to bifurcate in two parts. How much is attributable to sale of goods and how much is attributable to transportation or delivery charges. Also, little bit difficult for you. That's why practically it is advisable because amount is going to very negligible, better to collect on transportation charges, delivery charges also. Then question which is very important is whether applicable on advance receipt or not. Say I receive advance from buyer and I will be selling, say subsequently afterwards, say after 2 months. That TCS will apply or not. See, earlier I invited your specific attention to circular number 22/2016 in case of motor vehicle. And you see, motor vehicle case and sale of goods case, in both sections TCS is at the time of receipt only. In that circular, the CBT has given a clarification also. Do you remember that example in which that is a motor car was being sold, consideration was 20 lakh and 5 lakh was received at the time of booking and 15 lakh was received at the time of delivery. CBT has clarified that at the time of booking also, so that is TCS will apply. I am afraid. So here also I would apply the same analogy right now. I will suggest definitely to my client that they should collect on advance receipt, that is. But yes, some persons have a different view because of the reason that number one, they are not aware of this circular, or their strong reason is because of this also language is received as consideration for sale of goods. Therefore, TCS is not applicable according to them on advance receipt. Received is consideration for sale. It's not consideration for sale of goods. According to them, word for is used, towards is not used, towards sale of goods, or in relation to is not used. Therefore, they say that on advance collection, TCS is not applicable. But I am afraid my suggestion would be that is the collectors would collect on advance receipt. Then question is bad date. What happens when there is a bad date? That is there will be no TCS automatically because there is no collection. Say I have sold goods to somebody, say for 80 lakh, and ultimately is not paying to me, say either fully or partly. So I need to collect TCS only on collected amount. So this on bad date there is automatic answer coming from language of law. There is no worry, no TCS. Then one interesting point which is answered or which has been answered, I have seen by many of the professional friends in a different way. I do not agree with them. The point is post sales discount credit note. Say I sold goods to someone for 80 lakh and then I allow him discount after making sale. I allow him discount of 5 lakh and therefore my collection is net 75 lakh. Question is I need to collect TCS on 80 lakh or I need to collect TCS on 75 lakh. Many persons have expressed that TCS is on 80 lakh and then they go on saying that post sale discount cannot reduce TCS or there is no provision for reversal of TCS. Here I have a totally different view. I say no TCS on post sale discount. Why? Because TCS is on collected amount only. So once you collect 75 lakh, you need to collect TCS on 75 lakh only, not on 80 lakh, which was your invoice value. So to me, it's very clear. Then recovery of bad debt, TCS applicable or not? Yes, TCS is applicable, recovery of bad debt. But in that case, you need to see one particular point, relevant sale, original sale, whether that attracted TCS initially or not, keeping in mind 10 crore and 50 lakh limit and all that. If that was there, then only TCS will apply, not otherwise. Then assuming that TCS is paid on advance receipt. See, the view was advance receipt TCS has been paid. What will happen if contract is cancelled and amount is refunded back to collectee? In that case, TCS, you have already paid to government, collected at the time of advance receipt, paid to government. Only way is, according to me, collectee sale credit, claim credit of TCS. There is no question of or no way of reversing TCS. Clear? So this would happen. And I have mentioned here, even the collector decides to revise return of TCS and get refund from department, though there is a provision for refund also at the time of processing of TCS return, but it becomes very difficult in practical life. So in that case, it's better that collectee only claims credit of TCS and collector is not in put in problem. Sale return. Here also, some of the friends have explained that that is on sale return there is a TCS because TCS is at the time of original sale. I have a different view. TCS is on collection only. Once goods is returned, then there is no collection at all. Therefore, according to me, there is no TCS. Then friends, I have mentioned gross down, not gross up formula. you can quickly understand. If advance receipt or lump sum receipt is there, amount should be grossed down to arrive at TCS. Means by mathematical formula, I have not given here example, but it's easily understandable. Say I receive, suppose 20 lakh amount from buyer, and I need to collect TCS amount, calculate TCS amount on 20 lakh. I'll make a calculation in different way. 20 lakh is inclusive of TCS. So I should break up this in two parts by grossing down formula and then work out the amount of TCS. Then one serious amendment which I have not seen being explained by any person. Yeah, but I have seen this. Kindly see this. Section 206C subsection 6 capital A. If you that is read this section and each one of us is aware, see, if the person fails to collect TCS, if the person fails to collect TCS, the earlier language was in accordance with provisions of this section. Section means 206C, complete section. See, all these are subsections, complete section. Wholly or partly, he shall not be deemed to be an assessee in default if the buyer or lessee has furnished return of income, has taken into account such amount for computing income, has paid tax on income declared in return of income, and CA certificate in form number 27 BA is filed. If these conditions are satisfied, we all are aware. Therefore, I do not discuss much in detail. The point is, which I am trying to submit here is, there is one serious amendment in this particular provision. See, the benefit of this provision is, per chance, say intentionally, unintentionally, whatever, if the collector fails to collect TCS from collectee, then but the collectee has filed his return and declared income in the return, and CS certificate is filed, then government is granting immunity to the collector. Collector will not be deemed to be an assessee in default. Now, this provision has been amended from 1/10/2020. And what is the heat of amendment? You see, earlier it was in accordance with provisions of this section. Now they say in accordance with provisions of section 206C1 or 1C. So, net effect is what? This benefit of this provision, it was earlier allowable for entire TCS chapter, entire section 206C. In fact, it was going to give benefit for all 10 transactions, But what happened? Government has amended this provision, restricted benefit of this provision only to subsection 1, that is first 5 items, and 1C, that is leasing. So, effect according to me is this protection is not available for 1F, that is motor vehicle, then 1G, that is LRS and overseas tour package, and 1S sale of goods. So, this is something which is very important if we need to understand this particular amendment. Next, friends, overlapping. So time is already 5:30, but that is just I would like to quickly finish. Overlapping. This is particularly mentioned in these sections 1G and 1H, that no TCS if the buyer is liable to TDS and has made TDS. Buyer has made TDS, then no TCS to be done under 1H even. Then that is this we can ignore. Then one interesting aspect is TCS and GST. So the friends, this is a very important query, that say I sell goods to somebody for 100 rupees. I take an example, 100 rupees is my sale price. I am selling to goods to someone, and say GST rate is 18%, and TCS is say 1%. I note down here example also on paper. 100 rupees sale price, 18% GST, and say 1% is TCS. Now question is, how would I collect GST and TCS from the buyer? See, I need to collect both of these. So on 100, first I would include GST, and then it becomes 118, 100 plus 18, 118, and then I need to collect 1% on 118, or first I need to add TCS, and then I need to calculate GST. So, or both variables shall be independent of each other. That means GST would be 100 only and TCS would be 1%, means 1. So how to tackle this situation? In short, TCS and GST, these two are independent, of course, but should there be TCS on GST or GST on TCS, or both upon each other? So this was a very serious problem earlier when GST law came. What GST department has clarified, I would like to carry you to that point. See, GST department has clarified in this circular number 76/50. Initially in the year 2018, they issued a circular. They said, interestingly, they said taxable value for the purpose of GST shall include TCS amount. So GST shall be on amount inclusive of TCS, that they said. But then there was much, you can say, protest of the circular. They issued a corrigendum in March 19. In corrigendum, you see the language. In the light of representations received from stakeholders, the matter has been re-examined in consultation with CBDT. What happens? GST department has consulted CBDT on this issue. And CBDT has clarified that TCS is not a tax on goods, but an interim levy on the possible income arising from sale of goods by the buyer and to be adjusted against final income tax liability of buyer. And therefore, for the purpose of determination of value of supply under GST, TCS under income tax would not be includable. See what happened in this process. We ignore this circular, which was earlier one. We go to corrigendum. GST department consulted CBDT, and after consulting CBDT, they have come out with clarification that GST shall not be calculated on TCS portion. So conclusion is no GST on TCS. Fine. This we all accept and we respect also. Now coming to income tax department. As far as income tax department is concerned, in the matter of TDF, there had been serious history. In TDS, I have given so much here in the slide itself. So I did not explain here because of paucity of time also. I can only say one thing. Latest circular of department 23/2017, they say no TDS on GST component. This is the clarification from income tax, but the problem is it is with reference to TDS only, not with reference to TCS. Now, as far as TCS is concerned, earlier they issued a circular number 585 in the year 1990. There they said, here I read last language only, income tax will have to be collected at source with reference to purchase price including excise duty. Although this circular was with reference to section 44 AC, but again it laid down the principle of TCS, and there the department has taken view that TCS shall be on price including excise duty, etc. So going by this, one may say that as far as income tax and see one more thing, there is no new clarification of income tax department, which is quite a bad thing. When they are giving advice to, you can say, this other department, GST department, they could have issued their own circular also, so that there is no problem. But they have not clarified anything. Just a minute, please. My laptop is getting discharged. I need to plug in. So point is that is they have, and one more thing, they have given circular for TDS but not given any clarification for TCS. There is no latest clarification. So two views are possible. TCS shall be on price inclusive of GST or exclusive of GST. Different professional brothers have different opinions. I am with them. Many of our brothers are saying that TCS will not apply on GST component. I am with them technically. We can argue, but at advisory stage, my submission is till any clarification comes or any that is a decision of court comes, because two views are possible, practical advice is collect TCS on GST component also. So this is one point from my side. As far as procedures are concerned, we all are aware, so therefore I do not deal with these procedures. I ignore. And on this credit of TCS, see, it's very clear that it is to be given to the buyer, that is collectee. But here rule 37I is that is not amended properly by government. Although see, they have that is included more and more transactions in TCS, and at present, as we have seen, there are 10 transactions. This says what? That only I can say. Credit shall be given for the assessment year for which the income is assessable to tax. This may create problem in some of the cases, like motor vehicle cases and some cases. So this provision needs to be amended and brought more detailed so as to meet all situations. That is, government should do this. Till then, we can only hope that the credit of TCS shall be allowed. In which year? In the year in which it is appearing in 26 years. Accordingly, we'll go. That is the best way. Then there are certain relaxations due to COVID. That is TCS rates. As you are aware, 25% rebate is there up to 31st March 2021. So all TCS rates which I have mentioned earlier need to be reduced by 25%. That is effectively it would be 75% of the rate which I have earlier spoken. But that is, this benefit of reduction is not given for alcoholic liquor. You see, alcoholic liquor they were not given, and 1G. 1G means you are purchasing overseas tour package and all that. There also they are not giving. Fine, seems logical also. Government says because even despite of COVID, a person there is a sale of liquor, or persons are interested in going for overseas tour. Then why do we give a rebate of 25% to those that is luxury persons? So therefore they have not given this. Quarterly return for quarter ended 31st March 2020, that was extended to 15th July 20. Quarterly return of first quarter, second quarter of 2021, date extended to 31st March 21. TDS certificate is linked with quarterly return. Some of the relaxations I have explained. Forgive me, I was not able to read entire all that is relaxations related to that is TCS in Amendment Act. So therefore, I have taken some of the points only. Thanks. I have taken much of your time and try to explain everything in best possible way. If any query is there, you can either ask here, or you can that is my cell number is also given, and you all are aware, you are close to my heart. You can that is call me or send your query to WhatsApp. I'm always available to you. Thanks to organizers, and thanks everyone for giving patiently.
Thank you, sir, for this detailed deliberation. Now I request Surinder Chopra ji to give his viewpoint and also vote of thanks to Mr. PM Yani, sir.
Well, friends, very good afternoon to all of you. This is the beauty of speech of our lovely and beloved Biyani ji, that the time allotted was 4 to 5 p.m. and right now it is going to be 5:45. But almost all the attendants which were there right from the inception, they are still with us. This in itself indicates that we all are very eager and we all are interested in hearing the viewpoint and analysis of our lovely CA from the Jodhpur, Sri Biyani ji, who is known for his analysis, for his expert comment, not only in Jodhpur, in Rajasthan, but throughout India. Well, friend, before I go for vote of thanks, I just want to add one or two things which I think should be deliberated by the members themselves. The thing which I just want to point out about is the scrap. I request all the participants to kindly refer ITD 145, which Biyani ji also referred. This is a judgment of, I think, special bench decision to most probably of Rajkot branch. They explained that the word scrap, which has been defined in 206C, it has two limbs. Scrap has been defined being waste and scrap. So the bench has taken that both waste and scrap has different meaning, and waste is very much bigger than scrap. So in their decision, they have mentioned that all the things which cannot be used as such will tantamount to scrap, and therefore this 206C will apply. I request that there may be more than two opinions, but kindly go through that decision, which is very important in my mind. Sir, so far as other matters concerned, we all are aware that this new section 206C within bracket 1 capital H, it is not applicable when goods are being exported out of India. So what I feel that if suppose somebody is selling goods to export house, because the exclusion is for the goods which has to be exported out of India, it does not say that it should be exported by the seller himself. To my mind, so even export house, sale made to export house, I think will be out of the previous 206C 1H. Similarly, so far as this reporting is concerned, 27EQ, we are aware that there are certain transactions which are out of the preview of section 206C within bracket 1H. For example, wherever on the same transaction there is TDS or sale has been made to the government agencies or to the government, state or central government, or goods are being imported out of India. But section 20 this form 27EQ, we are supposed to fill in all the relevant details in that form. That has to be kept in mind. One more thing, that we all are aware that when such material are being used for the purpose of manufacturing or further processing, then TCS is not applicable in certain cases when form number 27C is being issued or being received by the seller of the goods. The only thing is that the section says that this form you are supposed to file to the principal commercial within a period of 7 days from the end of the money which is being received. I just found that still this physical system is there. I have not found that whether you can file this type of forms online, so that we are supposed to take into account. And another point is that whether that should be on sale to sale basis, or it can be on year to year basis, or it can be on month to month basis. That I just wanted to highlight. Well, friends, when Mr. Biyani is there and he is delivering on a topic, I think there is no query remain in the minds of the listener, because it is his habit that he used to cover each and every possible aspect of that particular section or that particular topic. He has beautifully and in a very lucid manner has incorporated everything in his presentation. He has rightly pointed out that this new TCS under section 206C within bracket 1H has to be at the time of receipt of money. And he has fairly explained that suppose the amount is being received in succeeding years, then TCS provision is applicable even if your sale is less than 10 crore in the preceding year, or even if the buyer is buying goods of less than 50 lakh rupees, because it is only the year in which sale is being made that this applicability to this particular provision has to be taken into account. Well, friend, I am thankful to our president, and he is very hardworking, and his team, Dagaji and his team, they all are taking a lot of pains during this pending time period to have this virtual program so as to keep our members updated. And he has rightly picked up this hot topic of TCS, and he has rightly chosen our lovely member Biyani ji for this particular topic, because Dagaji is very much aware that he is the only person who can quench the thirst of our members on each and every point. I thank you once again to Biyani ji for this beautiful presentation. I thank you all the participants, and I thank you to the chairman, president of the branch and his team, and particularly Roy and Ankit. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Chopra sir. Your inputs are always very valuable to all of us. Thank you, Biyani sir. Thank you, Vishnu Prasad ji Daga and Raj Bothra ji, and all the TBA team officials. Thank you to our backbone Ankit Malani ji and Ashutosh Sharma ji. Now I am taking lead from all of you till the next seminar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.